Hello, my name's Abby, and thanks for joining me in this crochet class. So we're going to start out with some basics about what we're looking for when you're crocheting. So we're going to look at these abbreviations and get started here. So when you are looking at something and it says like begin, BG, it's going to tell you like begin by crocheting, blah, blah, blah. And so it's going to have BEG as like the starting point. Typically, we don't see this that often. So we usually see a lot with chain. Sometimes people call this the foundation chain. Other times people just say chain, so many. So they might say like chain 7, CH7. And so we're going to actually work on our chains today. A single crochet is abbreviated as SC. A double crochet is DC. A half double is HDC. A treble is TR. Sometimes they call this a triple. When it's talking about stitches, it's usually saying like slip stitch or skip stitch. And so it'll say like skip 3 stitches, or it'll say slip stitch in second chain. And so I'll ask you to read that. Yarn over yo means just to wrap the yarn around the hook. When we increase, we're going to add a stitch into your work. So usually it's like 2 stitches in 1. Sometimes it's 3 stitches in 1. Repeat, usually it says like repeat, REP, and then it says like star, like from the star. So it wants you to go from a certain point to a certain point in the pattern. And so we'll see that as we work further into the course. Around means that you'll be working a circle. And then we talk about the loops, LP. We have a right side and a wrong side, and that looks kind of like a braided region actually. And so typically the right side's the side facing you, and the wrong side is the back side. So we're going to work on reading about our yarn and what we're doing here. We're going to make a foundation chain or a starting chain, and this booklet I found has like good details, but it's a little wordy. So we're going to do it by ourselves, and then we'll come back and I'll show you more about this chain. So we're going to look at our needles and our yarn and talk about how that works there. So let me just make this bigger for us. So first of all, when you're looking at your needle, it'll say like a letter and something in millimeters. So this one says J 5.75 millimeters. Usually we can just use the letters, but universally you might use the millimeters depending on where you live. So then we have this pattern, but we want to look on the back. So we want to find something very close to the size. So if you are first learning to crochet, you actually want to go a size above. So we're going to use, this pattern says you use I9 5.5 millimeters. But since you probably will crochet tight, we want to just go a size above just to help with you trying to find spots and stuff like that. Acrylic yarn is nice to use for blankets and hats and other works that you want it to be soft. If you want something to use in this kitchen, you want to use cotton. This also tells you how many yards we have. So we have 355 yards, and it also converts it to meters here. So if you're looking at a pattern and you're like, oh, I need this much yarn, you can see how much it's there. And it's also good to look at like the lot or number or the name and color. That's going to help if you're making something you want it to be very consistent with the pattern. So it's all right there for you. So there's two ways you can get started. So we need to find the end of your yarn. It's actually the best to try to pull the yarn from the middle of your skein instead of the outside. Then it's going to work its way middle out, and it's not going to be as bad trying to get it to cooperate with you. So there's two ways you can tie this on. So I like to tie it like it's a shoestring. So I lay my yarn on the table, and I'm going to lay my needle on the table. And I'm actually going to take up both the sides, almost like I'm tying my shoe. So then I'm going to wrap it around each other, down, and I'm making a double knot. Loop and down. You want it to be tight, but not too tight. So you're going to see I can slide it up and down pretty easily. I like to do this because I know it's not going to fall out. Now, some people like to use a method called a slip stitch. And a slip stitch is fine, but it's hard to do. So with your non-dominant hand, so I'm left-handed, so I'm going to use my right hand. Use your index finger and your middle finger, and you wrap around 2 times. Hang on, I have to take my needle off my hook. So you wrap around 2 times, 2 complete circles. So you have 2 complete loops here. And you're going to make a bunny ear, and we're going to put it over top of that, and then you're going to push it underneath with your thumb, and so it's underneath all your strings here. You can pull your fingers out, and then you're going to be able to pull this, and eventually it's going to make that slip knot for you. And this is nice because you can make it as big as little as you want, but it also is able to come out. So again, if you're right-handed, you're going to use your left hand, and you're going to wrap this around your finger 2 complete times, like so. And then you're going to take it and make it into bunny ears, and you're going to stick it above your strings, pushing your thumb. You're going to push it under, and then you're going to take your fingers and take the tails, holding the tails and holding your loop. You're going to pull it until it becomes tight. So once it's become tight, you're able to see you can adjust it as a slip knot. I've messed up mine because I'm not right-handed, so I've got 2 little bunny ears here. So I'll show you one more time with my left hand. Wrap it around 2 times. You're then going to take the bunny ears and set them on top. You take your thumb and you push that yarn between your fingers and underneath. So then you're going to take this little loop that you made, and it's here. Take your fingers out, and you're going to pull this until it becomes tight. And then you're able to adjust it. So I'm able to pull it back and forth. So wrap it around twice. Take your bunny ears, go through, pull it until it becomes tight, and then you're able to adjust it. But I rather just set it down and tie it in a knot. So I still have, I'm going to show you. So you just loop it and loop it again. And then we're going to have our knot. Like so. So we're going to start our foundation or chain stitch. So you can hold the yarn a few different ways. You can take it between your pinky finger and through your around your index finger, and then you're going to grab with your middle finger and your thumb. So you're kind of like making a claw. So it goes through your pinky and ring finger, up in between your middle and index finger, and around. And then take your other fingers, your middle and your thumb, and you're going to pinch it. So everything you're moving is with one hand, and the other hand just holds the needle. So again, I'm left-handed. So if you did it right-handed, your needle would be in your right hand. Stick it between your pinky and your index or your ring finger. Go between your index finger and your middle finger, and then bend it over. And then you're able to pinch it with your middle finger and your thumb. This is one way to do it. The other way is simply just wrapping it around your index finger and taking all your other fingers and closing it like it's a fist. So wrap, and then you're able to use your middle finger and your thumb to hold that knot for you. So this is your working yarn here that we're going to use to pick up stitches with. So I'll show you with my hand. So I wrap it like I just showed you, and I take all my fingers and close them, and then I take my middle finger and thumb and hold onto the knot. So really it's a matter of how do you prefer to hold it. There's no right or wrong, as long as you get the job done. So your hook is actually a hook, and it's narrower on the bottom than the top. Top's fatter. So when we want to make something go through our stitch, we want to point the hook down towards the table or towards you. So we don't want it to be up. If it's up, it always will get stuck. If it's towards you or going down, it's easy to pull out or pull through. So however you decide to hold the yarn, you need this piece that's working to be tighter. So you can always just pull it tighter with your hand. So you're going to yarn over, or in other words, hook your yarn. So usually right-handed students like to go under and then turn it down. So again, you're going to go under your yarn and turn your yarn around the hook. So then you're hooking onto it. So you've almost made like a complete circle here. Other students like to just take the yarn, hook it, and slide it with their finger. And you're going to pull through. So again, go under and turn it around and pull through. Or hook your yarn and pull through. And so when you're pulling through, it's going to start looking like a braid a little bit. And that's actually your chain. So some students like to just go under and twist down, and you're going to pull through. So there's multiple ways you can do this. So I know a couple of students, they do it like this, but then once they get closer to their loop, they actually are using their thumb and they're sliding it off. So whatever way you want to try, you're just going to try to make a chain. So wrapping your yarn around your hook and pulling it through. So eventually you'll start to see something look like a braid coming along. One side will look like a braid, and the other side tends to look bumpy. So let me try to show you right-handed here. All right, so I'm just getting my knot resituated here. All right, so I have my yarn on my needle, and I'm going to wrap my finger around the yarn, and then I'm going to take the rest of my fingers and I'm going to pinch down onto this other piece. And then I'm going to take my thumb and my middle finger and I'm going to grab that knot. So you want to yarn over and you're going to hook onto that yarn. Sometimes it's easier if you give your yarn a little slack at times too. And you're going to pull it through the loop. So we want to yarn over and pull it through the loop. And what happens if you lose it? So I just lost it here. So you can actually grab that loop and stick it back onto your needle. Like so. Wrap and pull through. You gotta make sure you point down. If you're having trouble getting it to go through, you can always just start over. And so I'm going to do that here to make just to show you. I'm going to tie my needle, tie my string on my needle. Not too tight. I wanted to make it so it can easily slide up and down. And I'm going to show you this right-handed again. So I've just looped it around my finger and I've pinched my middle finger and thumb here. And so I'm going to wrap it, point it down to the table and pull through, making sure I left that loop on here. Wrap it and point it down towards the table. So if you always lose it, you can just try again. Sometimes it might take a little effort there. So I'm switching back to my right hand for you, or my left hand. We wrap it and we're going to pull it through. Typically, I actually like go more sideways. I use my fingers to help me. I don't really wrap it. I just kind of glide it and then I just use my hand to like pull the stitch off. So I'm like, oh, and through. And pull through. And pull through. So whatever way works for you. Right now I want you to try to just get used to holding the yarn and just gliding it through. And you're going to work on being consistent. So we want our stitches to be the same size. So let's try to chain 15 here. So you're going to hook your yarn. You're going to point it towards the ground to pull it through. That counts as 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember, you can always wrap your yarn and turn it down. That would count as 5. Wrap your yarn and turn it down. That counts as 6. 7. 8. And remember, everyone's different. So you might slide it off your hand, or you might wrap it around your hook. And then once you get to your stitch, you might use your fingers. You might pull that second loop off and have that first loop left. So again, if you do it that way, you're going to push that second loop off, and then the first loop stays. 9, 10. So then you're going to practice counting them. So it's easiest if you lay it down and you straighten it out. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And we do not count the one on our hook. And so you want to, I kind of just count like one edge of it. So I'm looking at the little loops here. So it counts as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you might be easier if you hold it closer to you and you see like the little braid. So this is a loop. Here's the next loop. Here's the next loop. Here's the next loop. And so this is our chain. So one side looks like a braid and the other side looks like a bumpy region. So practice your chain and then show me a picture of your chain work once you get 15. And then we'll start our next part. So it's kind of like self-paced. So once you do the first task, we'll do the second task. And if you do all 6 tasks before our weeks are over with, we'll just keep adding lessons there if you want. So the more you do and practice, the more we can achieve in the lesson. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you next time. So let me just show you one more thing before you go. So we're looking at this chain Let me just go back up here for you. So this is what it looks like. And so when we're counting it, I usually just count one side of it. So I would say like, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7. And so that's how I count them, because that's where I plan to go into. Some people count it a little differently, but it's what you would like to do with that and how you feel. And so here's what it technically tells you here. It says, wrap the yarn from the back to the front over the hook, or hold the yarn still and then maneuver the hook. The movement of the yarn over the hook is used over and over again to crochet, and it's usually called yarn over, or it's abbreviated as yo. So you're kind of doing like a wrap. And your needle's going to point down, and you're going to hook that yarn, and you're going to be able to grab that and finish that process by pulling it through. Each time you pull through, that counts as 1. So again, go ahead and practice that and let me know how you do. Send me a video or a picture, and then we'll start the next task.